I saw this. I mean, I saw the Onodonos like running towards the head, and
Mhm.
I think that I'm kind of and I'm yeah, I imagine his hand still being on the ground
Yes. Uh-huh.
after the blow,
Mm-hmm.
and but now he's using the hand to like push himself up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm and uh, when Ito-sama throws me the weapon, it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like she's like a quarterback, like
Right, right. Uh-huh.
running.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
I'm already starting running up, and you throw it. So it's all in one motion, and then I'm running up the arm and throwing myself towards the neck with a
Mm-hmm.
with a weapon, and just
Mm-hmm.
trying to stab it, or it's not a stabbing weapon right now. It's
Not
more like
really, but you can
it's
get quite a good slash for that thing, though.
yeah. So I'm again slashing that. So
Actually, I take that back. It has an axe
yeah,
blade on one hand and a spear point on the other.
all right. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. I mean,
Right.
slashing is also really really cool.
All right.
So
Good
it's
enough.
in
Yeah.
there,
Uh-huh.
and I kind of like it cuts really deep,
Right.
and I kind of get stuck
Mm-hmm.
hanging in the weapon in the giant,
Mm-hmm.
and probably get covered in blood
Right.
or whatever.
Blood is the case. It looks actually a little. I mean, it looks almost like an enormous peasant man, right? A man of like a farmer or a river worker or something like that. It's so in other words, it's not like a made of rocks or something like that. It is actually like an enormous human, right, who fits the culture.
Mm.
So um, so anyway, yes, that's quite dramatic, and I imagine all of you can probably imagine the shaking of the landscape when it hits.
And probably I will hit the ground also.
Okay. So the yes, of course, but since you took no damage, you are able to roll away or get caught in all of the padding
Yeah,
or something like that. So, okay.
that
Um,
wasn't too hard.
right. Well, all of you are looking a little bit battered at this time. So,
uh, I'm
Yeah,
gonna look.
that's an argument.
I'm gonna look around, see if they heard anything from the castle or something. Just looking around, see if there are things and so on.
I don't think that it's very easy to answer the question, but you do not see an army come streaming out of the fortress, at least not yet.
Mm. Mm.
So nothing of that kind. Um, but yes, you will. You have to tell me what you do next because you have some distance to travel to get to the fortress. But you are a lot closer than you were.
I mean, this this was not very subtle. I mean, we have been seen. We have been there. There's no way of making an ambush now,
At
right? I
least,
mean,
well, you are still a small team, right? You are still
yeah.
you have the capacity to be a little bit evasive if you want to in this
Okay,
kind
can
of
I?
terrain.
What do I
But you're
see?
right that nobody. It is ridiculous to assume that nobody noticed this event.
But what do I see back of the fortress? Can I see the?
Well, you do not, as I said to Max, you do not see any kind of instant mobilization of forces. You don't see that.
Okay, what do I see? Is there still people standing passively, just walking around, or is there any kind of
That's
reaction at
actually a
all?
pretty good point. With your eagle eyes, you can see that they are much more active, and then soon there are less people. You do not see all the activity at the bottom of the fortress near the ground. That is gone.
Mm. Mm.
I'll look through to help Itosama with her new injuries or even worse injuries, and probably help Tagashi with
Right.
his injuries too, if
Yeah.
there are.
Hmm.
I this is the first now when you said a chapter wound. I thought that was a kind of a thing that you could as a name, a generic name for a special kind of wound. But I realize that it's for this chapter.
Correct.
So
The minus
that was
one will proceed. So so I assume that nobody survives a fall with no injury whatsoever of that kind. So I imagine that that is what has happened to you. Do you want to be more specific about your injury?
my injury,
Yeah.
my chapter wound.
You are the one who is
Um,
narrating.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's. I'm trying to imagine how I fell, and I probably fell um, in a way. So my I have a lot of like wounds on my upper arms trying
Okay.
to catch my fall
I
like
see.
this.
Okay.
So that's
All right.
it's
Okay.
more like
So as you proceed, go closer to the fortress, your next consideration is to try to avoid. There are uh, uh, there are. Okay. I need to think for a moment. There are no soldiers or scouts or anything like that. However, the cold has become very, very terrible, and you sometimes see faces and hear voices in the wind and the blowing snow, and so you know that there are beings in the air, and so to avoid them as if they were hunting you is your next problem. So that is your if you can avoid them, then you can choose how you get into the castle. If you cannot, then I will choose how you get into the castle.
Are you asking for a role?
I am
Or are
saying
you
I
asking
am
for an
saying your
idea?
situation, and then you state your goals. The way that this game works is can only describe situations. I can't tell you what to roll for. You have to tell me what you seek
I
to do.
seek the cover of
Mhm.
vegetation because it would help even against the wind,
Mhm.
and it would enable us to sneak up to the castle from a different direction than that we used before. And I'm intending to explain to the others what my goal is.
So if you help one another, you may be able to you will be able to roll together. If you don't help one another, or you know the choice, you can either roll by yourself, you can roll with the other person to take the best result, or you can spend trust to add your die to theirs.
I was thinking about if we can use my climbing ability to. I can climb over, but if Ola could see if I can open a door or anything,
Okay,
information that I
you are
can.
a little bit jumping ahead to actual contact with the fortress, and
Okay,
you are not really in contact with the fortress. You are
okay.
trying to get to that spot, and it is um, Itosama's remarkable ability to find squeezing places and places that a human should not be able to get through. It's her ability to do that and to show you the way that is going to give you this chance. Ola's or Tagachi's
yeah.
eyesight can help, but that is long distance eyesight. This is more of a close in problem.
Yeah,
So,
this is
right.
so. I'm I will try to kind of help her in any way I can.
Right.
To because I what I can, and that's both like because you're trying to find shelter.
Yeah.
So I kind of trying to put myself into her
Hmm.
and to move close to her and like communicate how at that point
Sure.
and be her second eyes.
Sure. Now, all of that makes a lot of sense. But and that's fine. And frankly, you don't really have to do very much. None of you have to do very much. As long as you just cooperate with what she is doing, then we will consider that helping. You don't necessarily have to do, all you have to do is not make trouble for what she is doing, and that's good enough. So the question is, what are the mechanics? Who is going to do what with trust and dice?
I will trust a trust roll.
Okay, so
Can I just ask a technical question?
Yeah.
Given the fact that I have a -3 on me, if I don't succeed with my roll, then everybody else's rolls don't matter?
That is not
it
correct.
Going to add anyway?
It will add anyway. But
Okay,
one thing
thank
that
you.
I'm going to suggest is somebody should not spend trust and help you.
Yes.
And
I
then that
agree with
means
that.
their die will probably replace your die. And then your -3 goes away and won't apply to the total. That's the way
Okay.
to do it. Does that make sense?
Yes, that really makes sense.
Okay. So, Helma, let me put it this way. If you roll and everybody spends trust to add, then that means that whatever the total is, it will have a -3. But if somebody just replaces your die with their die by rolling higher than you, then the other two dice will add to that.
So if
It's
I don't take the lead, but explain
No,
what
you are
I-
taking
what I'm
the lead.
looking-
You are taking the
Okay.
lead. Someone else is going to help you, but they will not spend trust. So then it is your result and their result, and we will take the higher.
Okay.
And then
I
the other
can
two
help-
add to that. Do you see how that is better than having your die in there, causing all the trouble
That was
with
what-
its minuses?
But it didn't have to be added to be. For example, if she gets a 3 and gets 0, and I also get a 3, does mine count because I don't have any minuses, or does her count because her dice?
I think you guys are making it a little more complicated than it should
Let's
be.
just roll and
Each
see
right.
what the result
Right.
is.
I want to know who is spending trust in Helma and who is not.
I'm not spending trust.
Okay, good. And
I am.
You are. Okay, in that case, Helma, let's do it one by one. Helma, roll a die and subtract 3.
-2.
Okay. Max, roll a die and apply any wounds that you have.
I have no wounds. She has a 5.
Okay, so we are looking at a 5. That is all we are looking at. And then Ola, roll a die and apply your wound.
4.
Okay, so that is now a 9. And Kisaragi, roll your die and apply your wound for 3. Another 12 total. Okay, and that gives us a 12 against a 5. So you have succeeded with 7. And so Helma, tell us all about... Oh, wait, no. Max, tell us all about how you guys managed to get stealthily to this fortress. You don't have to spend a really long time unless you want to make Helma look great, which is, of course, no problem.
I help her by helping her to stand up.
Right.
So I'm holding her
Right.
on my shoulders.
Okay.
And Ola is looking and telling what to do. I need to use the real names. Takahashi is looking around, telling Itosama what he sees and how it's played up. And she is like, okay, how does it look that place in that? And she kind of builds up a map in her head how this is going to work. And then